Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma is so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada. And Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who without Mrs. B might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Good morning and good morning and good morning. It is wonderful, wonderful Friday. A lot of people are like, thank God it's Friday. Is that a saying? Yeah, that's a saying. Thank God it's Friday. But why can't we just say thank God it's Monday? Thank God it's Tuesday. Thank God it's Wednesday. I mean, why do we have to always be in that box? Oh, that sounds like another speech that I could do. Okay, scratch that. We have a big show today, a huge, tremendous show with a wonderful, wonderful guest that I've been looking forward to just having that conversation with. He doesn't know this, but I've been just a little bit stalking him a little bit. Been knowing him for a while through other friends that we both know together. And I'm just telling you right now, this person, I don't want to say the name just yet because I want to keep the suspense for a minute here. He is a magnificent person. He really is. He has a heart of gold. And, you know, sometimes in this world that we're living in right now, it's kind of hard to find those treasures sometimes. But this particular person is one of those treasures. And you're going to really understand that when we have the conversation today. So, okay, I'm gonna let the cat out the bag, like they say. Mr. Rich Hopkins is in the building, in the virtual building, because we got to be safe. So no mask. We don't have no mask today because we're really, you know, quarantined right. Because we're on video. He can't, you know, I can't really breathe. He can't breathe on me. We're good. So we're going to make sure we're okay with that. But Mr. Rich Hopkins, oh my God. And he's here to celebrate some milestones today. But okay, can you say international speaker? Can you say author, an awesome author? Can you say a podcaster? Can you say a TEDx Ignite world two-time world championship finalist on the Toastmaster big stage, I call it. And then he has a book that just came out that he's going to talk about. And the list goes on. Those are just a few little things that I'm talking about. Just a few. I mean, there's like a book of Rich, but I can't get into that because then you won't be able to hear him speak today. And we talk because I'll just be talking about all his accolades and everything. But before I bring on this royalty, before I bring on this king that's coming on the stage today, I have to do him justice. You know, we gotta bring him out right. So here we go. You'll see him right after this little preview of a video. Hello, the master's in the house.
Good morning. Wow, you have been stalking me. I haven't seen some of those pictures in years.
I especially like the one where it says, "What, kick ass and take names." I like that one.
Yeah. Somebody sent me that card once.
Oh, they
I think it was before I went to Malaysia.
Oh, wow. See, I dug a little bit, huh? Well, hopefully that showed how awesome you are with, you know, through those pictures and just looking at those, and everybody else that's looking at you, how awesome you are. So Mr. Rich Hopkins, thank you. So first of all, before we even start conversating, thank you so much for coming on the Diamond Factor Experience show with me. I truly appreciate it. This is good. I like this. So thank you so much.
You bet. It's an honor to join you in your long list of amazing guests.
Yeah. And can you believe we just celebrated? I just can't believe just a few weeks ago, we celebrated 1 year. I've been under the E360 network. And I'm like, yeah. So you're just starting off the second year, you know, going into the second year type right in the new year for 2020 before we get to 2022. So this is an honor. So Rich, you've been busy, sir. You have been very busy. So I don't even know where to start. So let's first, before we even go into the book and, you know, the Toastmaster journey and some other things, I always tell people, one of the things I always ask people is, where did it all start? Like, you know, I know you were this amazing, you know, just superhero right now doing everything. And it started somewhere a long time ago. So can you just tell us a little journey how you got to this point?
Well, I got to tell you, I today is an inspiring day for me, and it goes all the way back to when I was 9 years old. And I want to tell a story. You've probably heard a little bit of it if you watch my TED Talk. But this Superman shirt is representative of my best friend, Jeff Ford. When he was a kid, he wore a Superman shirt almost exactly like this. He and I used to make movies in his backyard. Of course, they weren't Superman movies because he didn't have a Superman outfit other than the shirt, but his mom had made him a Spider-Man outfit.
Okay.
So we made Spider-Man movies on this old V8 camera in 1977. And he decided when he was 9 years old, he wanted to grow up and make movies. Well, today I'm going to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. And the film editor for that movie is Jeff Ford.
Oh my God, his dream is, oh wow. That's awesome,
So
Rich.
This outfit is in honor of my friend Jeff, who taught me that you could reach your dream
Yes.
if you just were persistent enough, if you just waited long enough. It's in 44 years. Now, okay, he's been a success before this. He did happen to work on the Iron Man movies and all the Avengers movies, but today is full circle from Spider-Man in the backyard to Spider-Man on the big screen.
Wow. Now that's a story. That is, see, I'm loving it, like you said, Rich, because it just shows you how your dreams can come true. And no matter how long it takes, you can get there. And I mean, he's doing all this. Wow. Wow.
He's an amazing guy.
So now, okay, you and him when younger, doing the movies and stuff. Because it's funny how you say that, because I used to do that too when I was growing up. I wanted to be on Fame. I love Fame. I love to dance. So I want to be that dancer. So I was doing that kind of stuff in the backyard. Then things changed. Well, everybody knows that now. but you take that little detour somewhere. But when you two were doing that, now he did his dream where he's doing. Now, what made you become what you're doing now, the speaker and really helping other people understand what their voice is and everything?
It took me a little bit longer to figure out what I wanted to do. Back when I was a kid, I thought I was going to grow up and be a comic book artist.
Oh, okay.
But that did not happen. I quickly realized that while I was a good artist, I was not a great artist, and nor did I have the patience to become a great artist. What I ended up doing was going into a business that I swore I would never go into. When I was in the 8th grade, I had to give an oral book report on Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, boy.
And I really didn't think I had to prepare. I mean, how hard is it to give an oral book report on Abraham Lincoln? But when I actually got up, I had no notes, and suddenly I went blank.
Wow.
I ended up staring out at 47th grade eyes, staring back at me, and had nothing to say. Ended up running out of the room in tears.
Oh, no.
And I decided then I was never going to do public speaking again. But I ended up in college, not really going into public speaking, but ending up on stage. Because this girl I was attempting to date was, that's why guys do anything in college, right?
It's a woman involved.
It's always a woman. And she was trying out for this English play called Toward Zero. So I was helping her practice her English accent.
Okay.
But the night of tryouts, I went with her to support her, and she insisted that I try out. Well, she didn't get cast, and I got the lead.
Oh, it flipped.
Which wasn't really conducive to our relationship continuing.
No. I was going to ask you that. Did I think that dissolved, didn't it?
that was over. But I spent the next 5.5 years that it took me to earn my 4-year degree doing a ton of different plays
Wow.
and being on stage. So that was really my first time learning what it was like to be in front of an audience.
Yeah.
But it wasn't public speaking, really, was it? I didn't break my promise to myself. I was using somebody else's words and I was taking somebody else's direction. I didn't even really need to connect with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have that wall between you and the audience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Toastmasters,
But
when I got older, well, there was this other woman.
she said Rich.
And she invited me to her Toastmasters club that she was president of.
Okay.
And that's how I ended up involved in Toastmasters. Now, that relationship didn't last very long. Best thing I got out of it was Toastmasters, which I've now been a member of for going on 23 years.
Ooh. Did you say 30 years? Did you how many?
Years.
23 years? Wow, Rich.
So
And I'm thinking my little 10 years is something. It's like,
you know, and yet I know people who've been in for 40 and 50 years. So 23 years is, I'm like a child to them. But the point is, once I got into Toastmasters, it opened my eyes to who I could be as a speaker, delivering messages, making an impact on people, and also helping people as a presentation speaker once I'd had enough experience to help them discover, develop, and deliver their best message. So it's a bit of a roundabout way to get to my dream, but it has gotten me exactly where I want to be. And the Go Ahead and Laugh book that you participated in with your speech, it's simply an extension of everything that I have done since I promised myself I wouldn't do it way back in the early 80s.
Wow. You never, just to peel a little bit what you were saying about, your journey. And I love how, people come, this just shows you people come in your life, for a purpose, for that time, for that moment. So, I mean, I know we were laughing about the two women, how they seemed like they brought you to a certain spot, but that was for a purpose for you to get where you needed to go to leap to the next level. I mean, if you would have stopped back when, you were up there trying to read the Lincoln thing and you just that went blank, then we wouldn't be seeing the wonderful Rich Hopkins as you are now. So you took that, you said, you know what? Hey, it's going to go a different route. The plays happen, and then Toastmaster happened, and then you just kept, keep on. 23 years, that is just a milestone of greatness right there. And I just have to just give you, so much kudos for that. And then with the collaboration book now, like I said, Go Ahead and Laugh Volume 2. This is the second volume.
Yeah, back in 2009, I published Go Ahead and Laugh Volume 1. Now, I would show you Go Ahead and Laugh Volume 2, but since I just published it last week, I don't have a real copy of it yet.
I don't either. Not yet. It's coming.
I thought about it because I had, back in 2006, when I went to the World Championship for the first time, didn't win, took third place. I worked with the winner, Ed Hearn, from right there in Chicago. And the second place winner, Doug Wilson. And we put all of our speeches into a book, the speeches we needed at the district level, at the region level, and at the finals level. And we each did our own analysis of our speeches, why we wrote them, how they worked, how they didn't work, so that people could read those. Now, this book, I decided to create when I went to the World Championship in 2008, where I didn't even place, and got involved in a documentary named Speak that I thought would chronicle my winning the World Championship, when all it did was chronicle my not winning the World Championship. But I wanted to have a book to go with that as well. And in this case, I went with humorous speeches from other people that I would analyze for the humor, for what made it funny, for what didn't work, for techniques that people could use out of the book. Because it's one thing to learn techniques for humor just as theory.
Yeah.
Here's a formula. Try this, try that. It's another to actually read a speech that has humor in it and have that explained to why it's working within that speech. We don't have books like that.
No, you're right. You're right.
The most I could find were like political speeches that were examined for how they changed the world. Well, that doesn't help me if I want to be a better humorous speaker unless I want to look at the humor of failed political promises.
Yeah, that could be a book of its own. That could be a book of its own. But
So
you're
I waited 11 years, but I finally got to volume 2. And the difference between the books is this has more serious speeches,
okay.
not just a bunch of humorous speeches. Your speech is rather serious and formal, but it uses humor. And I show people how they can use that humor, how you speakers, the 12 speakers I have in the book, all use humor in different ways in different situations.
Yes. Yes. Well, first, Rich, I just have to thank you so much for, reaching out to me and having me in your wonderful book. And I love how the concept of it, like you said, you take the speech, you look at it, you review it, you give feedback so people can learn how to really work their own speech. It's just like, it's almost like a steps to, making sure that if you're looking at your speech, how to really look at it in detail so people are understanding what's coming, what you're saying basically in your speech. So I think that volume 2 is going to turn into a lot of other volumes. I'm just saying, I think that's going to happen.
I think I'm going to have to take less than 11 years between books.
Yeah, you got to do it a little bit sooner than 11 years stretched out because we need more. We need more. So that's so interesting. So Rich, I know with time here, I want to make sure that you talk about which is so awesome too, is the Win Anyway Life speaker. How did that evolve? How did that start off?
That kind of came up without me expecting it. There came a point in 2012 where I just decided I had to have a keynote. I had to have something that I wanted to deliver, a message that was crystal clear for people. And I'd been competing in the international speech contest for years, obviously by that point, but I hadn't really come up with a very clear message. And so I'm sitting there at the frankly, I'm in traffic court getting a ticket paid, and I'm waiting for a couple of hours to make that happen. I've got my little notebook with me, and I'm writing down all the different messages over the years that I've delivered.
Wow.
And they all had something to do with defining your own victory. Not letting the world tell you whether you're winning or losing, but deciding for yourself what a victory is and what a victory isn't, so that you don't have to let other people decide for you how you're doing in life. And I came up with Win Anyway that day.
Wow.
And I realized that there were so many different points in my life that winning anyway was crucial, whether it was me as a little kid with a disability, dealing with other people making fun of me and me living my life anyway, whether it was when I was 38 years old, choosing to give up my lower left leg so that I could have a better life, where people were saying, well, why would you choose to lose something? I'm not choosing to lose something. I'm choosing to gain something.
Yes.
Choosing to gain a super deluxe robot leg and a life that is going to be better than the one I have with a foot that is no longer working. See, but if you go by what other people tell you, you could see that as a failure, as something you had to give up instead of something you went out to gain.
Yes.
I look at my daughter who dealt with a brain tumor, still has a brain tumor, non-cancerous, but how every day she chooses to move on and live anyway with a positive attitude. She's getting married next year.
Oh, congrats.
There's all sorts of examples of being able to ignore the way the world tells you you should feel and to go forward and to see that victory, to celebrate it, even if it isn't a complete victory, so that you can keep moving forward towards the ultimate victories you want to have.
Love it, love it. See, I wanted to go just this little bit because the biggest thing I see every time I see you, Rich, is I think about the word perseverance. I think about the word perseverance with you because through your whole life, you just pursue, you just push and be like, that's not going to stop. I'm going to keep doing this. I want to, find another way and I love that. And I feel like that's just like just your whole thing of your life to show people that you can do it. So I wanted to ask you, what would you tell others? Because there's so many people out here, especially with the pandemic now and just a whole array of stuff going on. What would you tell, individuals, how they should follow your lead with that?
Sure. Well, every good motivational speaker has a formula, right? So my win anyway formula, even though it should only be 3 steps, is 4 steps.
Okay.
I mean, you take a look at where you're at in achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. You review where you're at right now compared to where you were when you started. And if you haven't achieved it, what does the world say? The world says you have nothing to celebrate. You're failing, you're losing. Well, what I'm saying is take a look at where you were, take a look at where you are. Even if you're not any further, you've probably learned something that doesn't work, right?
Yes.
So look at what is working, look at what isn't working, get a grasp on that, and then celebrate your new information, celebrate your new knowledge. That's step 2. After review, celebrate, because celebrating increases your power. It helps add to your momentum. It builds your self-esteem, whereas not celebrating because you haven't gotten there yet and feeling bad about yourself just stops you in your tracks. And that's what the world tells you to do. No, go celebrate how far you're coming, even though you aren't closer to your goal in a sense that you think you should be, but because you now know what not to do, and you now have some things that you can look at that have been working. That takes you to step 3. What's my strategy going forward? What am I going to change? Am I going to change how I approach my goal? Or, I know this sounds crazy, but is there another goal I want to achieve instead? Do I need to change that goal?
Yeah.
When people say, oh, that's quitting. No, it's not quitting. Sometimes it's giving up one thing to go after something better, like my super deluxe robot leg, which then leads into step 4, which everybody knows step 4, you're just waiting for it. Take some action. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yes. Take action. Now, I was listening to your steps. Now, I want to throw in now that this is kind of bad. Now, these are your steps. I'm about to add another one that I think would help.
Well, 5 steps is good.
This is collaborating here. This is collaborating of its best. Celebrate others. And I say that because what you're doing right now with your friend, how his dream came true. And right now you're about to go to Spider-Man. Come on, everybody. People don't know who Spider-Man is and superheroes and stuff. Something's wrong and they're not in this world. And you're celebrating your friend creating his dream, seeing his dream come to life. It opened up to. So I feel like celebrating others also helps with all of the persevering what you're doing in life. Yeah, definitely. Wow, Rich. Rich. Ooh, I'm going to bring you back if you don't mind.
I'd love to come back anytime.
Yes, Rich. So thank you so much. And again, I want you to tell everybody how to reach you and how to get the book. Because like you said, it's just last week. So it's fresh out there for people to order.
The best way to get the book right now is to follow the Amazon link that Barbara no doubt is going to have with this video at some point, or just go on Amazon and search Go Ahead and Laugh Volume 2, or just Go Ahead and Laugh. You can reach me at richhopkins.com. I know I made it really, really complicated, richhopkins.com. Or if you want to stalk me like Barbara has, Just go to Rich Hopkins on Facebook, Rich Hopkins on Twitter, Rich Hopkins on LinkedIn. I was a very early adopter, so I got just my name with no extra numbers on virtually every single platform.
See, it was already created. It was going to be that way for you. So I'm glad, like, you don't have to worry about any extra stuff. It's just Rich Hopkins. So there's no excuse for people not to be able to get to you. So again, Rich, you enjoyed today. Enjoy Spidey. I know a lot of other people are enjoying it today because it's opened up this week. And again, please keep doing what you do and being a true impactor, especially when it comes to persevering and doing your dreams and moving forward. And like you said, taking action just like you have. So thank you, Rich.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Barbara.
it. You take
It's
care.
Truly an honor to be on your show. You are so energetic and inspiring, and you help bring out the best in your guests.
Thank you so much. Okay, you take care and tell your wonderful wife and children and wish your daughter a happy wow marriage. I'm like, wow, that's a whole nother thing we got to bring you on. You take care.
I'm hanging on your every word, the love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound, 'cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground. My feet won't touch the ground. Diamonds on my body, rich, smelling on
And we're back. We are back. I'm back. So wasn't that an awesome conversation? I hate to say interview because interviews just sound so okay. I'm having this interview. Every time I hear interview, I think of corporate interview, and then I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go there. Haven't had those in a while. I've been on my job for 20-something years, so I didn't really have to do interviews for a while. And if I do, I'm like, okay, I need to research that thing all over again. But wasn't that wonderful? Rich Hopkins, again, thank you, sir, for coming on and telling, where he started, how he perseveres, and just the different ways of how people come in your life to mold you into where you're going in life, where your dreams, where your goals, what your aspirations. And I loved how, he was bringing that. And I was like, wait a minute, back in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know he talked about his friend. And I know that was one of the aspects of his life, getting, showing that, your dreams can come true. But then I'm like, then he started talking about how, with his foot and how he had to replace it. And with his daughter, with the, brain, tumor, and she's still moving forward and getting married and all that stuff. I'm like, dang, that was some other good stuff that I wish I would have heard at the beginning. But, that's why I always tell people, hey, it looks like I got to bring you back on for part 2. And that's okay. I love, like I said, what he does. And we've been knowing each other for a few years. He reached out to me. He was doing, this volume 2 book. I want to make sure I say it right. Go Ahead and Laugh, volume 2. And I was very surprised. I have to say this. I'm just being honest. I was very surprised that he reached out to me and asked me, would I be one of the authors in his collaboration book? And because I know, he's been having all these other people in there and, just like, people that, you've been thinking about me like, really, you want me? You want me in the book? And then I had to ask myself, I tell myself, I said, why not? Why not me? You know what? Because I said, why? I went to that little self-doubt thing in a sense. That's okay. Get out that self-doubt, Barbara. He sees the gift in you. He sees that he wants you to be in the book. So just go with the flow. So I did. And then after I said, I accepted and said yes to Rich and said, I'll be one, I'll be proud to be one of the authors in his book. volume 2, again, Go Ahead and Laugh. Then he was like, okay, you got to just put, give a speech. And, it could be a funny speech. It could be a serious speech. And then he'll analyze it like he does, kind of breaks it out and tells all the functions of it. And I was like, oh, wow. Most of my presentations are kind of either, teaching or something that's kind of more motivational type. I do the funny at times, but I wasn't used to doing like maybe a whole speech funny. And I was like, how do I do this? And again, that helped me say to myself, take a step back, look at your whole life here. You have some of those instrumental things that you can go into this presentation, this speech that he's talking about. So I'm so glad I said yes, because it made me go outside the box. I'm always talking about kick the box. You know how people said, we got to get out the box. I'm like, kick that box, get rid of the box, throw away the darn box. So I got rid of that box and I took a step back and I said, I can do this. And then I started thinking about every other thing that I went through. We were talking about perseverance earlier, everything that I went through. And I thought about, well, if I went through the thing with my dad and how he passed and went through the sexual, thing that I went through, sexual rape, assault that I had, and then the cancer not 10 years ago that I was dealing with, you mean to tell me I can't write what was it, 1,000 word presentation about something that might be funny in my life? Really, Barbara? When I thought of it like that, I said, okay, there's no excuse. And that stupid box that you keep saying to kick, it's gone. It's out the door. It is just, I don't even see the box. I don't even know where that box came from. I don't know what you're talking about, what box. So I just think, that's why I said certain things in life will push you to where, you need to go on in the next level of what you're doing. So I want to, before, it's Friday, and, thank God it's Friday, like people say. And I want to just talk a little bit about, before the show is done for the day, is a quote that I always love to quote, always like to put like in my speeches. This is a quote that really talks to me a lot. And it's by Maya Angelou. And it says, and a lot of people, you probably know this, but it says, I've learned that people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. They'll forget what you say. They might forget what you say. They might forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I always put that quote to the test in my life. And so far, it has passed with flying colors, especially when I've been speaking and I've been on stages, virtual, everywhere this year, especially last year and this year, to people, that I found out that quote that Maya Angelou is in my head about people won't forget how you made them feel sticks with me all the time. In fact, it helps me when I'm doing my presentations, because it always reminds me to say, okay, Barbara, you're going to say some things in your presentation. You're going to say some things on your TV streaming show. You're going to say some things in one-on-one interviews. And people might remember some of those tips. Just might. They, even some things that you did, maybe some things that you helped others with, they might remember that. But if you made them feel a certain way, if you went deep down into the soul and the heart of somebody and brought that out, they're not going to forget that. That's going to be forever, ever, 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 everlasting until the day you pass. Till the day you pass. I'll never forget. Now, I had a different kind of relationship with my mother. I call her Sergeant Beckley. And there's been a lot of times, and I said this in a few instances, that we just had this relationship where we just like oil and water. It was just like oil and water. It was like, why is it so hard for us as a mother and daughter to kind of get this? And I to the point where I asked myself, am I adopted? I really asked myself that around in my teenage years, because she would just be so hardcore on me. Every time, just like I said, if I would get an A in school, I would come and be so happy and be like, Mom, I got an A. And she looked at me, well, where's A plus? You got an A. That's not none. Where's A plus? I'm like, I got an A. And not only I got one A, I got like 6 A's. And she's looking for the A plus. That's how hardcore she was. And I was like, oh. But when I got older and she was getting to the point where it's been 12 years now since she's passed, God rest her soul. And, she got up in age and I was, up in age too. And I finally had that talk with her. And I said, Mom, through all my years, my young years, and, in my 40s and stuff, seemed like you just have been so hard on me, to the point where I just felt like that you didn't even love me, because I was never enough. It was never enough. Everything I did, everything I strived for, worked for, went to college, my the job that I was on, the extra stuff that I did, now I'm building this. I said, Ma, you never seemed like you was never satisfied with what I did. What I just want to know. I just really want to know, what did I miss? I just really wanted to know that from her before, she left this earth, this universe. And we were sitting there in a restaurant because she loved to go out to eat. I always took her out to eat so she can do her little sit back and be like, that's what she was doing. She was Miss Queen. And we were sitting in a restaurant having breakfast. And I asked that question to her. And she looked at me real strange. At first I was like, uh-oh, because I know she was, she was sickly. She was going through because she was going through dialysis and a lot of other things in her life, in her body. So I was like, okay, there's something going on. Maybe I need to take her back home. Maybe she needs to go, I got to figure out what's going on with her because she's looking strange in her face. And then I thought about, I'm never too old to get that slap on the hand or that whooping. Maybe I overstepped. Even at the age in my late 40s, I'm still concerned about my mother slapping me because I might have said something wrong. But I wanted to know why it seemed like I wasn't enough. It seemed like I was not doing enough in her eyes. And she looks at me with that stare and that crazy look. And she said, how can you ever tell me that I did not love you? And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I said, now I'm not going to say this out loud, but in the back of my mind, I said, well, I just kind of told you. I just kind of told you what I was feeling, what I was going through. Let's go back to the A plus. I gave you A, come on, let's go all that. There's a whole bunch of stories why I felt like you were kind of like, does she really love her daughter? But I said, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to let her explain, because I felt like there had to be something to come after she said that. And it was. She said, do you understand that I did not want you to be in the same place that I was trying to work so hard as a person that didn't even have up to a 6th grade education, and having to scuffle and just, work and improve and do so much extra because I didn't have my education, because I didn't have the experience, because I didn't have the knowledge, because I didn't put forth like, you should when you're growing up. She said, because all that was taken away. She said, so when I told myself, if I have a child, I'm going to make sure that they don't have to struggle as much as I did. I want to make sure that with anything else in their life, they have this. And she said, that's education and a wisdom of how to move forth in life. She said, if I didn't love you, I would have never took the extra spankings and the whippings and the yelling and the screaming that I did with you. I would have said, I'm done with you, and let you just do what you're going to do. She says, so no, I not only love you, and this is what got me. This is what goes back to Maya Angelou when it says, people, you'll never forget how a person made you feel. this is what the last thing she said from that. She said, I not only love you, but I look up to you. And I was like, what? Really? I mean, I couldn't stop the tears from almost welling in my eye when I heard her say that. Because this was a person that kind of, like I said, she beat me down. I mean, for years, over 40 years of just feeling like I wasn't enough. And then for her to say, out of everybody in life, for her to say that she not only loved me, that she looked up to me. And then after that, 3 weeks later, she passed. 3 weeks later, she passed. And I know the universe works, you know how they say the world works in mysterious ways. Well, all that fight that I was going through in my mind with my mother, if I never had that last talk with her, I would have never knew that in my mind, that she did care. But she just showed it in a different way because that's how she felt like she needed to do for her child. Now, much older, I figured it out. I heard her voice, okay? But when I was going through teenagers and 20s and 30s, it kind of helped. It hurt in a lot of ways because then I was looking for, and I know, and like I said, there's no blame game here because I don't want to take what she said, but in some ways I was looking for that acceptance. And I want to tell everybody out there now that I went in other areas to try to find the acceptance because it seemed like I wasn't getting the acceptance from my mother at that time. And there was some good times and there was some really bad decisions that I made. And I'm saying all this because I want you to know that first you have to accept yourself no matter what. No matter who's saying what's saying who. I don't care who it is. You have to accept yourself and understand that you're more than enough. That you're more than enough. And it took me a while. And sometimes I still go back in that little, and I have to bring myself back and say, no, Barbara, you're good. You're more than enough. So I say all this going back to the quote from Maya Angelou that I totally love so much. I've learned that people will forget what you say. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Every time I step up to the plate speaking, I always want to remind myself that I need to make sure that what comes out of my mouth is going to bring value to some people, to bring value to people and make them feel a certain way so they can move forward in their life, so they can conquer their dreams, as Rich was saying earlier, so they can conquer their goals. So they can conquer themselves and say, hey, I'm more than enough. And I feel like if that's missing when I'm speaking, when I'm on the platform, then I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't do my job. Now, do I beat myself up for it? Yeah, I do sometimes, but not as rough as I used to. But I think the beating self up is not so much of beating myself up saying I'm not nothing. I'm nothing. I'm stupid. I'm no knowledge. Not that kind of beat up. My beat up is I had opportunity to give some value, life principles, or whatever I need to do for the audience out there, and I didn't do it, or I missed the mark, or whatever. That's when I beat myself up. So then always brings me back to that quote. Because I want to make sure that when I'm gone, when I transition throughout, out this world, because we go through this, that's life. You're born, you live, and then you pass. That's how it goes. But all the people, how people always say, what are you doing in the middle? What are you doing in the middle? What are you doing in the middle? And I want my middle to be full of value to others, to give them the strength to move forward, to understand who they are, to know that they're more than enough, to understand not only that you've been loved, but you are admired and people look up to you because of the impact that you're giving them. So important. So important. So I want this, this day and every day, every second of the day, for you just to stand up and tell yourself, look in that mirror and tell yourself that, hey, I'm going to persevere in what I do. And I'm going to stand up, do like, what they say, the Wonder Woman pose. You're going to stand up in that mirror and you're going to tell yourself you're more than enough in whatever you do, and that you have what I always say, that gift in you to push you forward in what you need to do. Believe in you. Believe in the dreams that you have. Don't just let it be a dream. It can become a reality. You can make it a reality. And just as was said earlier, but you got to put it into action. You got to move forward. You got to put one foot in front of the other. It reminds me of that thing for the Christmas cartoon when he said, just put one foot in front of the other. And I forgot the rest of it, but it is a little Christmas thing that in the Christmas day, they sing a little song about putting one foot in front of the other. And that's what you have to do. Don't worry about how fast the foot is going. Don't worry about if it's skipping or if it's just slow dragging, but at least you started putting the foot in front of the other to going towards what you want to do. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So when you're up there, wherever you're at, if you're talking to millions of people, if you're talking to 20 people, if you're talking to just one-on-one, or if you're just talking to, if you believe in God, if you believe in a higher being, if you're just talking in that sense, always remember you are good enough and to persevere in what you're trying to do. Because everything that you do, I keep telling you, it's not just for you. Stop being selfish. Stop being selfish. It's for others. We need your gift to illuminate in the world. We need that gift to illuminate in the world because it's an impact to help. And I'm going to end it with the lighthouse that I always talk about. We are all, our stories, what we go through, what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, be it good or bad or ugly, we are a lighthouse to the world. People are looking to get back to where they need to go with everything going on with the pandemic, for all of the racism that's going on that's heavy right now, for all of and it's just so many people, just lives are being taken away. Every day when on the phone, I get a notification. It's not every day. It's like every 5 minutes or every hour, somebody got hurt or somebody killed somebody or this and that. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on in the world? People need a light to see, to bring them back to love, to understanding who they truly are, to having some kind of mindset to say to themselves, this is not right. Hatred is not right. Killing is not right. Not believing in yourself is not right. Saying that you're not nothing is not right. So we have to stand up, each and every one of us. Look at the stories that in our own lives and how it brought us through to this point in time. So others can see that, hey, I get it. You might have been, abused. You might have been hurt. You might have lost a loved one or a friend. You might be waiting on that dream to happen and it's still not happening. Maybe you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, whatever the case may be. But when you hear other people's stories, how they went through it, just like how you're dealing with, and they came on the other side, that's that light that they have to see so they could persevere and they can move in their own lives. That's creating an impact. That's making them feel. You got to make them feel something because they won't forget that feeling. People won't forget that feeling. So with that said, you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Enjoy your day. Do your affirmations, as I always tell people. Look in that mirror. Look in that mirror. And the thing that just keeps sprouting out in my head over and over again right now is tell yourself you are more than enough. You are more than enough. You are here to please yourself so you can please others. You're here to love yourself so you can love others. You're here to like yourself so you can like others. Let's start with that. Sometimes you got to go to the like to the love. But whatever you do, just know that you have what I always say. You have that diamond factor in you. You have that PPD, that purpose, that passion, and that drive. That's your foundation. I say it's your foundation to get you through anything. So you know that you are more than enough. So with that, we will see you on Monday. Same time, same station, every morning, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And I always say all of the time zones, you got to kind of figure that out. And I'll be running that. I'll be trying to figure that out. But just look on your phone. That's what I have to do. But I will definitely see everybody on Monday with a new show. We'll have Regina come on, and I'll come on right after her talking about different. Oh, yeah, I have a new spot that I'm doing on Mondays talking about visibility and social media tips and tricks. So come on Monday. We have a full hour with Regina talking about finances. Sometimes she brings people on an interview, and I come right behind her and I give you some good information, juicy information about understanding about visibility, bringing your credibility out, how to do that, and how to get through. I say get through the world of social media. So with that, we will see you on Monday. Take care.